And we're back with the Growth Engine with Ryan Parshall and Trice Alford. Thanks for being here. How you doing, Trice?
Doing great. Doing really well. How about yourself?
Awesome. Business is picking up. Coaching is going great. Selling some companies right now. So we're busy. So um, this is sponsored. This podcast is sponsored by Healthy Brands. We help grow, buy, and sell businesses, and help companies scale and grow upwards. So our topics are all centered around that. We have a LinkedIn group, the Growth Engine LinkedIn group that you can join and get all kinds of great tips and meet other people who are growth minded. And so I want to get into today's topic because it's the last of our series on growing a business and marketing in a down economy. And so this is the last one. We had a kind of an outline of what we wanted to tackle. And today's topic, I know, is centered around working with your existing customers. So cross-selling, upselling, the different tactics that you might do to leverage your current customers to make it through and weather the storm. What are you thinking on this topic, Trice?
Well, yeah. So as we all know, it takes an enormous amount of effort to get a new customer, right? When you measure, cost per acquisition, it's most usually around the idea that it cost me, some big sum of money to get somebody brand new. But also in most businesses, the opposite is true, in that selling more things to the same people or getting product depth with them and building a relationship and cross-selling is a huge benefit. And we just wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the things you can be doing to communicate with customers, to promote things, and just to build that connection, that retention of customers a little bit.
Yeah, I saw this topic, and the thing that dropped in my head was this question I used to have when I was younger and doing a lot of database marketing. And the question was, how often do you hit a customer with a message? Well, I mean, the question came up when I was doing direct mail, then when I was doing email marketing, and then you have like things you can do in social media right now and hit current customers up. And I was kind of coming back to this topic as you were explaining it. And I'm thinking like, okay, right now where I'm sitting, I get tons of emails from the same company and they're overdoing it. They're really like irritating me. And my unsubscribe levels are like really high right now on everybody sending me stuff because I'm getting a ton of crap. And the question is how much is too much?
Yeah.
As humans, we say we're very conservative with that answer. Like we're like, okay, well, once a month would be enough. And the truth is that's not going to be enough, right? And one of the reasons is because everybody else is doing it more, and so you become like one message isn't enough to make any difference. And so they're already your customers. You don't have to convince them of anything, but you do need to keep reinforcing who you are and your brand and what you have to offer. But I think the irritation, and I want to start at this point, the irritation I have is what they're sending me has no value. So the answer to how much can I send them, as long as what you're sending has value to that audience, you're good. So just because the economy is having a hard time and inflation's high and people are struggling and things like that, it doesn't change this. You have to offer high value. If you're not offering high value, quit sending and bombarding people's inboxes, calling them. Like, don't do any more. Like, stop. Like, it's more irritating. You're damaging your brand more than you're helping it.
100% true. Like, I love your thought on that, because you're right. You can cross-sell your ass off, but if you're not offering something that adds value to the relationship you already have with those customers, what's the point? You're just wasting your time, your dollars, and potentially driving them out and diluting your brand to them, like the opposite of what you want to do. So I totally agree with you. Like, that's what we talk about when we're talking about, marketing in the down economy or growing your business in the down economy. Is this is the time to put thought into what you're doing, because you have to be more efficient. You've got to utilize your tools and the systems around you to get more out of your business than you've ever, and your marketing than you've ever gotten, because every customer is more valuable to you than they've ever been, and every new customer is even more so. And to do all that, you got to be really smart with what you're doing, and you can't overwhelm people. And be very purposeful, right? That's what I said this a lot in the last couple of episodes. Be very purposeful about what it is you want to do, because you can't just hammer them, because it's not going to work, and it's going to have the opposite effect. So it's intent that we're talking about here.
Right. I have an example of something I thought was done really well. Cross-selling times are tough, and I'm getting an email, and it's actually very relevant. Okay, so my heating and cooling company, talk a lot about HVAC. My heating and cooling company, they're really good marketers, but they don't overdo it. They right size it, and so I'm on their heating and cooling maintenance program. And what happened is I got an email saying, we know you're, a preferred customer that we're already working with. We wanted to reach out and offer you, we have a plumbing department. We would like to offer, somebody comes in and they will inspect your plumbing from top to bottom and give you like a report card on what they see and find. Well, you and I as consumers, we're not stupid. We know that there's a chance they're going to come in and they're going to look for something to sell us, right?
Sure.
Okay, but it has value to me because it's not costing me anything. And that tells me they appreciate me as a customer. They're actually willing to spend time on me. That says something. And the second thing is so what if they find things that they want to sell me? What they're doing is they're troubleshooting. They're looking for current problems I may know about.
Yeah.
But they're also looking for things that I may not know about. And so it could be things that are preventing something that's going to cost me more money down the road. I mean, this thing has high value. They'll be able to bring back a report card and saying, we found these, whatever, 5 to 10 things. And one thing, maybe it's got to be done now. Like, okay, if you don't do this, you're going to have to replace your water heater, like within the next few weeks or a month, probably. Like it's in really bad shape. I'm glad we caught it, type of thing. And then other stuff might be like, you probably shouldn't put this down the drain. I mean, it could be. So one thing's way more important than the other, but they can tell me what that is. And as the consumer, as the customer, I can make that determination. I can make that call. I have no obligation. I'm already a paying customer. I have no obligation to spend more. It's my choice. But that is, in my eyes, a great opportunity. It increased the value. It showed me the knowledge and expertise that this company is able to deliver. And I appreciate that they're going to do it at no cost and come back and tell me what's wrong. Some of the things I might do myself, by the way, I'm very handy. Like I might do some of those things myself. And some of them, I mean, like, nah, my time's better spent with Trace on the Growth Engine podcast.
Yeah, always a good choice there.
Right.
Home service industry is really, really good at this, right? They exactly to your point, they do a really good job of integrating other products and services or widening their own footprint. Like just to your point, offering plumbing, a lot of heating and cooling people, that's where their, next step is, because they're so connected. Like I've got a gutter cleaning company because we have sort of a second floor that's hard to get up to. I don't have a ladder tall enough. So they come out basically once a year, but they also do window cleaning. So I get emails from them in the summertime that are like, hey, because you're a preferred customer, meaning you just did business with us once a year, we offer a discount on home window cleaning. And I think that's really smart. It's really interesting. It's a little unique. And they use email to do it. And it obviously a really great way because they've already captured that from me. When in a B2B scenario where maybe you're not home services, where these things are easy, they're $100 decisions or, a few $100s. They're not, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollar decisions like some B2B, software decisions might be or something like that. This still works exactly the same. I'll give you a great example. Now they'll come up again later, but HubSpot is a layered software for CRM. They do a ton of upselling of their products and services. They give you free stuff at a base level. They let you increase the size of your database for certain costs versus added services from, service ticket management to Salesforce type automation, within your sales team, marketing type, whatever the case may is, templates you want to buy, companies you want to outsource work to that are HubSpot partners. I mean, they open the channel to all this stuff. All of that is cross-selling. They do a fantastic job. And all of that is within a software company, right? So really, really unique situation. Doesn't come up for most. The average consumer would never think of that, something like that. But they're a great example of what we talk about, because they, knock them for how expensive they are in some cases, or maybe you don't love the tool, or maybe you just absolutely love it. Everybody has their opinion on HubSpot, but the thing is, when you get into CRM and you're as a marketing person or a salesperson, you're trying to manage those activities. They do a fantastic job of letting you start at something affordable for you or manageable for you based on your skills, whatever, and a lot of opportunities to cross sell and layer up. And
Yeah.
nobody does it as well as them. And frankly, you get emails from them. You get stuff in LinkedIn from them. I mean, they do it in a really interesting mixture of ways. Content driven, direct, whatever. They're in the mix. And we both are users. We both use HubSpot. I wouldn't say either of us are necessarily like huge advocates or, against them in any way. They're great tools. But
I don't know. I would say I'm an advocate. I mean, my agency,
you probably are more so than I am. Yeah.
My agency was a HubSpot, partner.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm very particular about who I partner with. And I didn't join anybody. I didn't.
Obviously,
you CRM or promote them. People ask me all the time, like, what should I use for CRM? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, try Salesforce.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But I started caring more. I started caring more when and this is really the breaking point. When my agency customers said, when they started looking at the results and they said, I have to have X amount of response, ROI, revenue from the things I'm paying you for, I immediately knew my experience in working with database marketing, and this totally goes in line with down economy, was to take your existing customer base and do something with them. Like, your responses are higher, your engagement's higher, your revenue's higher, everything's higher. Yeah. And I'm like, oh crap, I've got to get into something here for my customers that I didn't plan on doing. And so I partnered with HubSpot, and we tried to get some of our larger clients into HubSpot because it allowed any of my team to be able to go in and manage a list. It was very easy. We could integrate it into the WordPress website, or we could build it in HubSpot. We preferred WordPress and for the flexibility, because we knew more people could manage a WordPress site and work in it and design it. And then we had HubSpot tool, which was better than Salesforce, in my opinion, because it allowed anybody in the agency to go in and create things, create lists, and put tags in there, like, so we could filter however we wanted to. And then we started automating some of those tags, obviously, to where we could filter lists and send them fast. So if, for instance, going back to my HVAC thing, and this is really important, it's important to be able to, and yes, it's worth the work, to identify quickly if you have multiple lines, product lines, or multiple services, to be able to identify the things they were using and doing versus what they were not. So you know what to cross-sell to them. Right. The generic e-letter that hits everybody with the same thing is not very effective compared to this, where you say, I know you were having HVAC maintenance with us, but we wanted to introduce you to our electricians or our plumbing department, or we want to introduce you to tankless water heaters. I mean, and have an offer there, or something that's a freemium to get to earn their trust and such in that thing. You could go, people could go to HubSpot and filter, say, I want people that don't do this, that do this, don't do this, if ands, and come up with the list really quick. And it could be, you could have a database of 10,000 people, and the list you came up with was 125 people. Yeah. But the thing you're wanting to sell is worth it. And so you can put the thing together in under 5 minutes and send it to somebody, and you just made a bunch of sales. Yeah. So the return on your investment and time is so high when you master CRM and email lists.
Yeah, I'll speak to the CRM part first, and then talk a little bit about email specifically. But what I like, whether you're using Salesforce or HubSpot or Pipedrive or something else, what I like the most about CRM technology is I, as a marketing person, one, I get to identify where are my cross-sell opportunities, right? Products, services, layering up, whatever the case may be. Two, I can target customers specifically and say, this kind of customer I want to treat this way versus this kind of customer I might want to treat this way. I can define all of that in a tool, and I can create some automation around that. I can, just to your point, I can build if then and say, if they're this kind of customer, go this way, and if they're this kind of customer, go this way. And then I can set their communication. Very simple to say, and if they're this kind of customer, I want a message as this, and a month later this, and then a month later this. And to your point, I'm not barraging them with everything we do. I'm spoon feeding it to them step by step. I'm giving them content, good, why choose us types of things, benefits, whatever, product marketing type information, whatever it is you're doing, right? You can spoon feed it to them and be very specific. And that way the email is not some massive thing. It's really simple and straightforward, just to your point before. And I can differentiate it between this kind of customer and this kind of customer. I can write the content uniquely, the whole thing. That's a massive campaign. And once you're done, you hit go, and it just self-fulfills. And as you can trigger it to add people to this list when they meet certain criteria, like landing on my webpage, like you're bringing them in some way, and you can integrate so much into that you really get the benefit of thinking out what your strategy is. What kinds of products and services can I cross-sell? What kind of talking points do I need? What kind of creative do I need? What kind of timing do I want to set up? How are my customers different from one group to another, and how do I communicate with them uniquely? All of that, you can put all that in the forefront. You can put it all up front and say, I do all the smart work, and then let the tool manage it for me for a little bit, and see what the results are. And is there conversion? Is there not? Is it working? Are we increasing our visibility with them? Obviously you are, but is it having a transactional opportunity, or is it just raising time on site? Whatever it depends on what your goals are, obviously, but you can figure out what your conversion. You can drive them into content that's, register and, set a meeting, whatever it is. HubSpot can automate that too. Like, you want them to set a meeting, and you want that meeting to get booked into a sales team's calendar. Boom, you've got all that connected. That's fantastic. Because now you're transactional.
So I got some points on this. First and foremost, we almost did our series of 4 on marketing down economy reverse.
We really did.
So I'm saying this because your own customers and cross-selling and upselling are first, not this other stuff, because your return is so much higher. It's first. You should take care of that. I'm gonna challenge you on this one, which is not you, but in general. I'm going to challenge that you should do this. You should lock in on a whiteboard exercise with either the leadership, sales manager, CEO, CMO. Lock in on this exercise. If you're an independent marketing person and you can't get that, then do this on an Excel spreadsheet. But go to the whiteboard. Start putting together like a list, to draw columns of, here's the services, the individual things that people buy that might be isolated purchases, or they're using this part of your company but not the other.
Sure.
Create the groups, and then start writing under that the different ideas under each one of those, that you have something else that's either closely related to that. And sometimes you can get nothing. I've been there, and you have to go, well, the message is, I know it has nothing to do with this, but we do this, or we have this product that you might want, and create all those scenarios on the whiteboard. The reason why I'm saying this is because it hardly ever happens this way. Here's how it happens. Trace, you might have had this in the past. You're doing marketing, you got your plate full. Marketing departments always do. They're never sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And so the owner comes in, CEO, president, whoever comes in, he's like, we just ordered such and such pallets of this. And we need to cross-sell this to our customers and start getting this out into their hands. And we need to cross-sell and do blank. Oftentimes, most often in marketing, when I've been in these positions, it's never something that I was purposely making happen. And nor did I go to the whiteboard and figure out all the scenarios and then like the best opportunities and the best scenarios. And the first step and always in that is brainstorming, whiteboard, creativity, get it all out of your head on the board, get it in front of you visually.
Yeah.
Then bring in the owner and say, out of all of this, or the sales manager, sales director sometimes knows the best also. Out of all of this, what has the highest propensity to drive business and sales to our company? And give them the marker and let them take the red marker and go. And they will start pointing it out. They might need to run some numbers from the financials. They might need to run some, or pre-order stuff, margin. They can come back with all that data and they can tell you, look, I see this, this, and this is like huge opportunity. Now you're doing it for the right reason, not somebody who pulled the trigger on a purchase or just had this one idea during their lunchtime conversation.
Right.
That could be the 20 or 30th good idea, but you're missing the best 1, 2, and 3 ideas. It's hardly ever even in large companies. So if you're a larger company and hearing this, like, okay, well, this conversation's a little under me. No, it's not, because I never see even large companies really using their database marketing the way they can. They might be doing 1 or 2 things, but they're not really diving in and thinking strategically about all of the opportunities, because you could have 20, 30, 40 campaigns in a larger company going on at all times.
Yeah.
And the return on your investment is incredible. So smaller companies, make it simple. Start with 1 campaign, when you get successful, add a second one, and make sure you're hiring somebody that understands how to do this piece of it, because your best return on marketing, if you have that complaint about marketing budget and dollars, comes from your own customer base.
Yeah, it 100% does. And we haven't explicitly said this, but let us explicitly say this. If you are not collecting emails of your customers, you need to figure out how to do that. It is the most cost efficient type of marketing you can do, period. And the reason is it's just cheap and easy to send email to customers. Whether you're using MailChimp or HubSpot or something else, doesn't matter. It can be very, very inexpensive. So 100% start there. And the reason is, one, they're either giving you an email because they want to be a customer, or they're giving you an email because they are a customer. Either way, they want to talk to you. They want you to talk to them. They want to have a relationship. Do they want you to overwhelm them? No. But you communicating with them on all the things you just said, right? That wherever that cross-sell opportunity is, it's there for a reason, because it's related in some way. You do business with us for this. This thing is in alignment with that. So it's natural, and that's where the best opportunities are. So now that we've said that, marketing, whether you're using a CRM or not, email is the greatest thing, and for all the reasons that Ryan just said. Because if your sales teams believe margin is in certain things, and especially if those things are related to other things customers buy, like we're talking about cross-selling here, the opportunity to just get information in front of people via email is so beneficial to you. Is give them the case study of why that thing's beneficial. Give them, a brochure, whatever it is, like create emails that have some of this information and value so that they can self-educate, because that's what customers want to do now. They want to self-educate. They want to go from, I don't know anything about this thing, to conversion. That doesn't happen anymore. They want to control the process. They don't want to be sold to, right? Like that's what everybody says. And it's true. But at the same time, they will tell you when they need to talk to somebody, which is fine. It can be an email from them saying, I need to talk to somebody. It can be a form on your site. It can be a phone number that says, call here to speak with a professional, whatever, right? Like all those are call to action. All those are great opportunities. And all we're saying here is you can be really smart and have great conversations. And I lived exactly the story you just told. I walked in day one to a business that had tens of thousands of conversions per location a year, and they had never sent a customer email ever. They were nearly 100-year-old company. They'd been capturing emails for a decade, and they were using.
That made you look great, though. I mean, I
Oh,
bet
dude,
the first few
I
emails you
opened the
sent,
ROI can of worms, man. It was just like,
you hit home runs, drove revenue. They put you up on their shoulders and carried you off the field.
well, one, not every one of those people is going to convert today. It's thin market theory. It's the idea like I'm not ready to buy today, but on the day I am ready, I want you to be I want to be the first person you think of. So of course I want to email them. I want to email all hundreds of thousands of them because I want to remember who we are. So it was a branding exercise in the beginning. Oh, but by the way, here's a conversion offer. Here's an opportunity. Here's a service opportunity right here. Book online, which makes it super easy. Obviously, take the conversion. I mean, this is more than a decade ago. So, yeah, when I sent the email, every one of these emails was less than a half a cent per email to send. So we're talking like, thousands of dollars to hit hundreds of thousands of people. That's a no-brainer. Well designed, well communicated, send it out. First, we got to cleanse our list too to see, are these contacts real?
Yeah.
There was no database. There was no CRM. We just had databases, and so, yeah, and the ROI was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And once you can get this into some rhythm, and this is where a CRM can help you, right? You can schedule, you can monitor, you can see who opened and closed, you can see what bounced, you can cleanse, you can manage all that stuff. You can automate a lot of it, obviously, as well. So these two things go together. Email doesn't necessarily mean CRM. You can do it without it. You can do it in like a MailChimp scenario, or other tools. That's fine. But what CRM adds to it is analysis, management, automation, things that you eventually will want to grow into in your business, especially if you've got some scale, because you're going to want to know who opened that thing, because now I can do something different with that person because they are consistently opening our emails and doing something with them, right? Like at some point somebody's got to just get on the phone and call that person because they're clearly looking for something, right? And so it helps you see where that opportunity might be.
Yeah. The CRM thing, I don't want to go too far with CRM.
Sure.
I mean, in this talk, it's a no-brainer. People know they need a CRM. I think it's more importantly how they're segmenting, how they can segment. If they can't, I mean, at least get it into constant contact or MailChimp. Like at least have a list. Like that's better than none somewhere, to start. But I really want to tell you what I see business owners do, and some marketing people also at this time is they get into this. I need clients. We need to have bookings. We need to have sales and service. We need it right now.
Yep.
And they get in this panic mode. So they start going into promotional mode. And you have to remember, especially today, you have to give to get, and you have everything you're sending out. You have to ask yourself, what am I giving? And it really changes everything about how you say it, what you offer. You don't send pointless emails that give nothing.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Example of giving would be this podcast. Like this episode would be, we're trying to give to people, either remind them of things that'll help them or give them something new. It's and eventually we will get something back when people have a need for what we do, Trice. And I think we have to look at that, at what we're doing in our marketing activities and our campaigns and our email messaging and go, what are we giving? And so,
where's the value that we are offering? Because I, as a consumer of your content, whatever, whether that's email or podcast or video or whatever you're doing, advertising, whatever, if I'm going to consume it, I got to get something from it. It's got to be beneficial to me in some way. And yes, you're right. If you as a marketing person or a leader in your business can lead with, I'm giving something, not an offer, but real value, then you're building trust. And that's the beginning.
Yeah.
You can then give an offer and say, I want to do business with you because you're a valuable customer, because because you value what we give to you, and vice versa.
Here's another story or thing that happened in real life career that relates to this is I've seen this happen both in HVAC companies I worked in, and then like a service, like other service companies, like lawn care companies and electricians and plumbers that I've worked with, where I gave them the idea and then they implemented it internally, which was first and foremost, download a list of customers who haven't done something with you in a while, or it's been past 12 months, right? And have a list and prioritize it furthest out or highest propensity to spend with you, however you can get that data and organize it what makes sense to go after them on. But it's a down economy situation. You're not as full as you used to be, right? We turn each day into an event. So each day, marketing's role was create the list for customer service and for the email marketing person or coordinator. Send an email to those people that you're going to call. So sometimes we'd have a list of like 3,000 people, and we would break that up over like a week or two, and we would segment it into each day. But each day we put out a message to the team saying, we have 13 slots that need to be filled today. We have 20 tomorrow, because they would ask, I can't do it today. What about tomorrow? We would implement these really exciting high energy campaigns that were fun. And we actually usually brought in prizes for people who were good at it, could book so many appointments, right? So sure. People who never did outbound calling in the customer support department, who would never, ever pick up the phone and actually outbound call somebody, they were winning the prizes. They were so excited to get more money than they've ever had, or a prize. And it was fun for them. So every day until we were booked out would be this fun exercise and campaign. And so the email would go out to them first thing in the morning. One of the customer service reps, and sometimes it was managers and field people, would come in to do this exercise because they didn't have anything else to do. We had a massive campaign to fill these slots. We just had to know how many slots to fill and what those times were, and we would do it. Yeah. And every day we booked them. There might be one or two that we didn't, but every day we would book them. And this is clear back in like 2007, 2008, 2009. This is exactly what we did. So when we really talk about grassroots and guerrilla marketing and those types of things, this is it, folks. This is how you do it. And good, strong leadership directs it and is there doing it with them side by side and is in the room, not hiding in their office, right? Ordering the pizza during lunch when you're doing it. And so we're using CRM, we're using email. Okay, we might use social media to put those same messages out. We're calling people and saying, we have openings today. We'll give it to you for half price. Sometimes it might be, we have somebody in the area to do this for free. It could be something completely different. It could be, I worked in the hair care industry for a while for distributor, and we saw things where all the stylists got on and called their old customers. And if they booked appointments that week, they would get like free mini, hair products from like Paul Mitchell or somebody, and they booked the calendar. This is the stuff that your customers love and get excited about also. And so you can quickly fill the schedule at times you think like it's desperate. You have the power and the control at your fingertips to make it happen.
Yeah, I like that story, especially for, we're talking about down economy, right? When you're talking about open slots in a day, or, I'm trying to dispatch basically, right? Like for businesses that operate in that way, talking to your old customers and cross-selling is, it's your bread and butter. I mean, hair care, right? I mean, like retention. I mean, it could be, especially with customers in your situation, right? Where you're talking about people that haven't maybe converted for a really long time. They haven't been in for over a year, right? They clearly have a need and have made the choice not to come back to you for whatever reason. Okay, well, you may know who they did business with, service, like who cut their hair before. And maybe that was a bad experience for them. And you're offering them an opportunity, and maybe with a promo or something like that, to get in with somebody else. And you as the owner, and you're just trying to get them back in the door, because every time you do that, your transactional value has an opportunity to go up because you're cross-selling. Oh, you want to buy shampoo and conditioner, whatever it is, right? Like you have just so much there. But for businesses that are B2B, where you don't have sort of that same sort of um, retention based opportunity or conversion based opportunity that's repetitive like that, it makes that customer even more valuable because you don't have sort of some of these built-in mechanisms that help you get customers back in the door. You have to create them yourself. You have to be the one responsible for the cross-selling and communication with those customers, because it's not built in automatically, like our HubSpot example from earlier. Hey, just because I have marketing people and I have sales people doesn't necessarily mean I've got to upgrade to different features of the CRM tools. Doesn't mean that I need the service platform or that I'm going to use the social media management tools inside of HubSpot versus doing it manually or whatever, or automation versus just email, right? Like I've got to grow into that. My skill set's got to grow into it. And my business has to grow into it. This is your opportunity to be very intently specific and say, we need to do this because it's best for our business, because retaining customers or bringing customers back in to buy something else from us is more valuable to us than getting new customers. It costs us less money and their cost per transaction is higher. So,
Yeah.
It's worse for you, frankly. You need to be paying more attention to this stuff if you're in B2B versus B2C, because most likely most B2B businesses just don't have some of that automated timing based stuff built into their business, and they have to create it themselves. And it's, for a marketer, the messaging's sometimes harder. The frequency of the contact is sometimes harder. You've got to push it yourself. You've got to create demand potentially for something that maybe they wouldn't necessarily automatically like step into. So all of this is in your hands, but it's a great opportunity. It's a wonderful ROI opportunity for you to take seriously. And you're right. You said it earlier. We should have started there in our conversation.
We should have flipped it
because it's true.
Well, this is interesting that we had this is the fourth episode on this, and we didn't bring this part up. But in a down economy, you have to go back to acting like a startup company. You have to go back to acting like you're a startup. You have to act hungry and somewhat desperate. And I'm going to give you something. So agency owners, agency people, don't get mad at me here. And the reason why, so check it out. Here it goes. All right. I love you guys.
He really does. I mean, he's a fan.
my most successful times with my agency was when there's a difference between telling a client, we're like your external marketing department. We're just an extension of your team. Okay. If you are, my challenge is this. Are you willing to do what I just said? Are you willing to be in contact with somebody at your clients to know how many openings they have every day so that you know what your activities are as a marketing team each and every day or the next day to book their week out or their month out? If you are an extension of your team, if you are inside that corporation, that company, and you're under the control of the president, the CEO, and he doesn't have a full schedule, or if he's seeing revenues dip and you're like, 20 feet away or, upstairs in the marketing department, however, what's he going to do? He's going to go talk to you. He's going to say, we need this done, because I've worked in companies a lot more than I did in the agency world. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what happens. The heat is on you. The pressure's on you. And don't think that it's only on the marketing coordinator or the marketing director that you're talking to as an agency. No, you're the agency. You're actually the first one that's going to get fired. So you have to be the one that acts like those metrics matter to you, in that the closer in real time you can respond as a agency to what's really happening on the ground, the more effective you are and the longer your relationship's going to be with that client. I promise you.
100%. If you're an agency, right? I've said this before on this show. Your job, your benefit to the client is you bring speed and expertise. You can hire and ramp up to do a specific job faster than inside marketing teams ever will be able to. and you will have deeper expertise on things than inside marketing teams will ever have. It just SEO, technical things especially, right? Because you can bring in people who have deep experience and leverage their cost a lot across a lot of clients. SEO, paid search, creative, whatever it is, right? Those are expensive people. I, as a marketer, I've got to have a certain, inside marketer, CMO, I got to have a certain level of need where I can justify a full-time person for that 75, 100 grand, whatever it's going to take, right? So it's different. But also I want to pay you for that expertise. Like that's a benefit to me.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. But let me tell you the difference or the thing for an agency, or as a CEO, when you evaluate an agency. If your agency asks you questions like, how many transactions a week do we need to be able to bring to the table? Well, how are you measuring
Answer
success?
it. Do
right?
not act like they're getting into your business. Answer it.
This is the best. You want them to have the idea, especially if they're tactically paid search kind of a firm that you're outsourcing to. You want them to have the mentality they want to drive lead. And okay, great. If that's what you're paying them to do, not a quota, but that's their goal, and you're going to measure them by their ability to do that, because you got to have full trucks in whatever you do. And if you're in B2B, it's pipeline, it's different, right? And it's about demand and creative and content, but the methodology is exactly the same. It is, how much revenue in pipeline am I driving? Are my salespeople converting? You can measure all of that, and at the same goal, because you want your inside marketing teams and your agency thinking about how they find customers, create demand, and build opportunity for you, right? And that the salespeople then ultimately take and convert, close, whatever you want to use, right? So I think it's a gold mine if your agency thinks that way, because that means they really want to understand your business. Because agencies, why do you get fired? One, you don't ask questions like this enough. You don't really try to understand their business. You're constantly bringing new people in, and the client's constantly trying to reteach the new person what their business is and how it operates, and it becomes a pain in the ass. And so that's where the agency trouble always comes from. And if you stay on top of that, and you talk to your customers, especially in a down economy like this, if you're lucky enough to have great business with your customers and you talk to them all the time about this kind of stuff, they're going to appreciate it. And your relationship with them gets deeper. Your strength together is better. Your ability to serve them is better. Like, it's good for everybody, in the long run. And that's if you're in a down economy and they're investing in you, frankly, that you need to be doing this stuff if you want to ensure your business with them for a long time.
I got there's a lot of pain in this topic for me, because I've been in companies where this situations happen at tough times. I've also been on the agency side, when it's tough for businesses, but running marketing teams in an agency doesn't matter, either one of them. I have found that revenue goals, sales goals, aren't that effective in a lot of ways, because they are just numbers. Yeah. And it's kind of like if you tell 5 people that you need somebody to go do something, and it needs to be done by the end of the day, and you come at the end of the day and nobody's done it because they didn't know which of the 5 people was supposed to do it. They all assumed they were going to do it.
Yeah. It's tough to say to an agency, we're going to measure you on revenue, because they don't have any context for right? Or even marketing in some cases, right? They just don't have that same context. But when you say transaction, you're like, they can measure that. They can. I
don't like transaction. I don't. I mean,
or you're like appointment setting or whatever, right? Like they can.
Well, that's my point, Trice. It's appointment setting. It's how many leads, if it's sales over the phone, or if it's emails, if it's e-commerce and it's sales and transactions online. Anyway, those are measurable things that need to be. Here's how many openings or slots. So having a goal of a volume here is one thing, But then having this other thing in their mind or on paper or online, it's here are 20 empty slots, fill them. So I'm going to really bring this home for the listening audience here. Social media and digital marketing has become so relaxed on this topic because nobody wants to put pressure on nobody. And oh, this stuff just takes time to mature and all this other stuff. Here's the difference that an effective agency can make. Okay, you are the pod or the team that's on this client. And it can be the same thing for your internal marketing department. Like you're all on this goal, right? You have 10 slots to fill today and you have 20 or 30 tomorrow. I don't care how you do it. I'm the CEO, right? I don't care how you do it. Get in this room. You've got 20, 30 minutes to figure it out and get going. You watch that, the strategy that comes out of that versus the strategy where you say, everybody go do your research and come back with a strategy to hit 500,000 or $2 million this year. They're all going to come back with some good ideas and some long-term stuff that will get traction over time. I don't disagree with getting traction over time, but what happens between then and when things start working, you get fired or everybody hates you because they don't see anything happening. So when I talk about traction, I mean tomorrow. And when you're in a down economy, this is the thing you got to understand as marketers and as business owners. You can get it right now. Don't freak out, but you can get it right now. It's a change in your behavior and the way you're thinking about business and the way you're doing. It's your activities and your do are dynamically different than when everything's good and you have the patience and the incoming sales for watching a long-term strategy succeed.
I don't 100% agree with all of that,
I
but I
love
understand.
it.
I love the premise of what you're saying. That can be all of what you just said can be 100% true if you're a transactional business. If you are I book appointments for trucks or for people to go out in service industry or 100, all of that can be 100% true. I think in the end, I will say this is a live by the sword, die by the sword marketing strategy, right? Like if you're going to really go hard like this, you like paid search, right? You get into a situation where you become really, really reliant on that mechanism. And I did it. I ran a $1.5 million Google budget for 2 years personally for hundreds of campaigns, multiple locations, a lot of conversion. And I loved it, frankly. It was, I mean, there's so much data and there's so much going on. And you're constantly tweaking things and language and conversions and measurement and what all these things you do. But at the end of the day, you're like, and we had downstream trackability, so we could see revenue attached to these leads. And it was great because then you can, like as a marketing person, you point right to revenue and you're like, I did this.
That's not different, I think. I think that's exactly what I'm saying, isn't it?
Oh no, yeah, it is. That's what I'm going to turn it here for a second.
Yeah.
My point now is if you're not a transactional business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're in B2B or whatever the case may be, and you may have more of a pipeline focused, which is 100% the way you should be doing it and looking at it because your model is completely different than a conversion based business. But in those cases, the idea of content and communication to returning customers, retention, cross-selling, all those things, they're just as valuable to you, especially in a world where we're going to where, the dark social and the funnel, it can't be measured anymore, right? Apple's pulling away all this privacy protections going into place, right? You are not going to be able to see it's a cookieless world is what they're calling it, right? You're not going to be able to see that person anymore. You don't know who they are. You don't know when they came to your website. You don't know what content they saw. You can't tell they were on your social, whatever. Either way, you got to, the conversion in the world you're talking about, the conversion is where you see things, whether that conversion is a form request or an appointment setting kind of a thing or not, you see it. And in these other worlds, it's harder to, it's much, much harder to, but that doesn't make it any less valuable to you because the way today's buyers of any kind, they're self-fulfilling. They want to consume content about you until they are interested or understand their own need and they want to reach out. And reaching out could come a million different ways, or it could be, if you see them in a CRM and they are tracked, which they may not be, you recognize they hit a certain point and you're like, now we need to call them because we know their number, we have their email, whatever it may be, but they've hit a point of interest in the arc. We know that they are looking, so we need to go get them instead of them coming to us. Either way, our point here is return customers are 100% your best source of new revenue, and there's a lot of ways to go about it, and they're incredibly valuable to you. You got to put a focus on them. You got to think about what they're interested in. You got to find ways to drive to them if you can.
I agree. That's a great wrap up for this topic. And I'd love to debate some of these pieces to you with you, but we only have so much time.
That's right.
We have to get back to work, people. We work, all right. So we actually have jobs. So
we do.
All right. Well, I think that's a great finish. Hey, please subscribe to the channel and join our LinkedIn group and continue watching other episodes. We have some fantastic episodes. Yeah, like and share with your friends if you enjoyed our topics today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.